All right, you can say hi, and then Mama's got to finish her video.
Wait.
Right, say hello world.
Hello.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I had a couple videos for you guys that were supposed to come out this weekend in my more traditional backdrop, but as you can see from behind me, Hurricane Helene had some other plans. I guess that's what I get for saying that I wish we had more sun in the backyard, because this was a solid wall of woods on Thursday, and it is not anymore. Yeah. So luckily those videos weren't time sensitive and will come to you guys hopefully sometime in the next 2 weeks once I can access those files. And I say once I can access those files because we do not have power and we do not have internet. Luckily we do have food, we have water, shelter, and each other. That's the important stuff. And now we know what worked and what was missing when it comes to prepping, which is what I'm going to talk to you about today. Also, side note, I cannot speak to the quality of these videos as far as like the visuals, because they're going to be coming to you over a mobile hotspot on limited data. Anyways, long story short here, I went to bed on Thursday night and things were already looking like they were not going to be great. But at the time, Hurricane Helene was supposed to be hitting in Georgia, like way more out west from here. But sometime during the night, it shifted east and the upstate got smacked with the eye while it was still a Category 1, which as far as hurricanes go, obviously is the least it could be, but it was still the wildest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. We just stood at the windows Friday morning and watched trees fall like dominoes, one after another. We lost count at 20. There are a lot more than that. There are even 2 more that fell today with not even a breeze going on. I suspect that's going to be happening for a long time. Luckily, not a single one hit our house by some insane miracle. They did take out a retaining wall and part of the driveway, but we still have a house, we still have a roof, we still have a generator. Oh, that's a power truck going by. I've seen some people online talking about trees hitting their generators. So luckily that did not happen to us. Some areas west of us are completely cut off from the outside world. I'm talking whole towns and communities just wiped off the map, either gone or only accessible by air. And you know who's helping them out is private aviation folks with private planes and helicopters, and it is the preppers and communities that are organizing and airdropping them supplies and rescuing people a couple folks at a time. The Cajun Navy showed up there yesterday, as far as I know, up in North Carolina, and brought in Starlink stuff so people can try and contact their loved ones, but there are still hundreds and hundreds of missing persons reports. I heard stories of people being trapped in their houses and being able to see out the windows, like children alone on their roofs without their parents, just crying. Woo. Oh, I did not expect that to hit me like that. Meanwhile, Biden was giving billions to Ukraine just a few days ago, and then now is telling the news that there is no more help coming for these people. There are no more resources to send down here, that we've already gotten everything that we're going to get. Now, I left my tinfoil hat inside, but I cannot help feeling like if this were not Appalachia and mostly red areas and the swing state of North Carolina, there would be a lot more effort. I mean, I've already seen people on social media saying, well, the Trump voters are going to have a lot more to worry about and they're not going to be able to get to the polls, and cheering about it. And that's really messed up. Anyway, our area had flood alerts, and part of downtown did have some pretty bad flood waters from the photos that I've seen. Some neighborhoods had water up to their roofs. We had alerts about the impending failure of Lake Lure Dam up in North Carolina, even though we are pretty far from that, but they evac'd the northern areas up in Spartanburg County, though that was after the storm had already hit. Now there are folks again on social media saying, oh, you know, we deserve it because we're a bunch of rednecks that distrust the government so badly that we didn't leave when we were told. Now I will be clear with you right now, no one told us to leave. No one told any folks out here to leave because nothing like this has ever happened before. And the flooding in the mountains, not the low country, has not been this bad in over a century. We are on day 4 without power, and estimates are another 5 to 8 days. We've been hearing everything from the 4th to the 8th. We do have a generator for the fridge and freezers, so we have plenty of food, but we did run out of fuel for the generator yesterday and had to drive 2 hours out of state to find more. Everything in the fridge was toast by the time we got back. Fights are breaking out at gas stations. Grocery stores are either closed or empty. I am hearing stories that looting is already going on down in the city. I personally have not seen that. People around here have been polite and orderly. It's been great, but I'm pretty rural where everyone knows that everyone else is armed, so maybe it's just that around here people are not going to fuck around and find out. I don't know. So what did I learn from this? Number 1, that chest freezers are great so long as you have a way to power them. We messed up, frankly, by not having enough gas and propane on hand and could have done with a couple more extension cords. We will definitely be looking at options for solar generators in the event that we can't get fuel, or this generator fails, or heaven forbid a tree falls on it like I saw happen to someone else, and we will forever be keeping more tanks of propane on hand. But say that we didn't have a generator or weren't able to get more propane, I am so glad that we have a stash of emergency food. I have collected a decent amount over the years, and I cannot emphasize enough the importance of non-perishable pantry items, things with a long shelf life, and kits like the ones from my Patriot Supply. My viewers can still get $50 off a 4-week kit through my link, preparewithlibberty.com. I will show that on screen, and I will have it down in the description. I have 2 of their kits. I have their Alexa Pure water filter and random other items and buckets from a bunch of other companies. Without that, I would be so much more stressed out and worried about my family, but we've got a grill and a gas stove and water, and so I know that no matter what, we will not go with empty bellies. I'm seeing things on social media about people saying they live in apartment complexes or lost their generators and they lost all of their food, and now they are just going day by day trying to hunt down grocery stores that haven't been emptied out, trying to feed their kids. It's crazy how things can collapse so quickly. No power and no internet also means that stores that are open are mostly cash only, so it's a good idea to have cash. Luckily, we both had some on hand, but a lot of people don't anymore. Next time I know a big storm is coming, I'm also going to throw some water bottles or Ziploc bags full of water in the freezer so I can move them into the fridge once they're frozen in case for some reason we can't rely on the generator or again have another issue where we run out of fuel. We also had a couple of solar powered lights and battery packs. One of them is powering my microphone right now, but we will definitely be getting more of those. Oddly enough, I was in the process of ordering some emergency med kits and remedies when all of this hit, so I have some stuff on hand, but not enough, and I'll definitely be pulling the trigger on that once those systems are back up and running again. And again, solar generator is seeming more and more like a good idea. We had plenty of flashlights and candles, but candles are kind of rough when you have a precocious toddler, and the batteries got eaten up pretty fast when you divvy them up between multiple flashlights. Also learned the importance of having some kind of battery-powered radio, because while we have phone and cell service, most people right now don't. Also, you will want simple things like an axe and handsaws or hatchets, things like that. Those sold out around here really fast. We also had a ton of bottled water on hand. Like I said, I have that big filter from my Patriot Supply. We have life straws. There was a tiny little pond on our property and a natural spring in back. Now you will notice that I say was. We joked always that those would be our water supplies if something happened. Well, my friends, the trees around the pond fell, breaking the pond and it is now completely drained out. The spring is completely inaccessible right now because there are multiple full walls of fallen trees between us and the spring. Now, of course, if this was a life or death scenario, we would climb them or break through them and we would get there somehow. The banks down to it are washed out too and are pretty treacherous right now. We would make it work, but make sure that you have multiple plans for necessities like that. And now on top of all of that, this is even better, some biochemical lab or plant outside Atlanta caught on fire and the winds are blowing the stuff in our direction. We have no idea how toxic it is, so we're closing up the windows. And now we're looking at that port strike, so excellent time for all of that. Things could get even hairier. Fabulous. So then my final little bit of advice here, speaking of community and such, is to make sure that you know your neighbors. We don't have very many, which is excellent. And it's entirely possible if this were a real end of the world scenario that things would be going a little differently. But they came on by to check on us once the storm blew through, and together we went through and we assessed the damage. We tried to get to the spring. We tried to look to see if we could clear any trails. Not really. Also, in true Southern fashion, it had not even finished raining yet around 11:30 a.m. on Friday, and UPS rolled up. That is like the happiest guy I've ever met in my entire life, and he told us which exits were open at that time, where he saw gas, and he confirmed that it was all over because the Waffle House had opened back up. True Southern metric. But none of that would be possible if you are not good to people. Be good to people and hopefully they'll remember it in an emergency like this and they won't be as likely to try and take you out and will be more willing to work together. So please don't be those people on social media saying that we all deserved this, because if it ever comes down to it, we will remember. Now, if none of this is convincing enough for you to do some prepping, I want to leave you and end this video with the words of an FBI whistleblower that recently spoke to Congress. And he said that Americans need to get out and vote, they need to arm themselves, and they need to have 3 to 4 months of food on hand. And this is why. This, and honestly, who knows what's going to happen in November. Again, I left that tinfoil hat in the house. I should have brought it out with me for a prop. But that is it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure how much else or what else I'm going to be able to get out to you guys. I know you're going to tell me not to worry about it, but you know what? Mama's got bills to pay and food to replace. So that's it for this video. You guys know the drill for all of the algorithm things. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Happy shooting and stay safe out there.